day students, welcome to Bosco Campus Vision, the YouTube channel of Kottayam Don Bosco College. I am Rania, faculty member of Postgraduate Department of English. In this lecture series, I am dealing the paper Language Skills, which is the General English paper for first semester UG students of Kerala University. Actually, we are discussing the second module of the paper, that is the 11th lecture. In this lecture, I am discussing suprasegmental features. Suprasegmental features means additional speech features like stress, pitch, rhythm, etc. So before going deep into suprasegmental features, let's check what is a syllable. So what is actually a syllable? Let's consider a word you with a spelling Y-O-U. So in a single stretch or in a single chest pulse, we can utter the word you. And for that word, two sounds are there, y and u, that is you. In a single chest pulse, we can easily pronounce the sound U. But in the case of the word computer, in computer, we need 3 chest pulse. So by using these 3 chest pulse, we pronounce it as computer. Okay, so that is computer. So syllable is actually a unit of sound. A syllable consists of a vowel sound and may or may not be consonant sounds. And we can define syllable is a group of sound which we can produce in one chest pulse. So the number of vowels in a word determine the number of syllables in a word. The vowel is the central element of the syllable. So it is known as the nucleus of the syllable. So how you count the number of syllables in a word? On the basis of how many vowel sounds are present in that word. So I repeat, syllable is a unit of sound and a syllable consists of a vowel sound and may or may not have consonant sounds. Actually, the number of vowels in a word determines the number of syllables in it. So the vowel is the central element or the nucleus of the syllable. And when I discuss phonemes, I told you about phonemes are represented in between 2 slanted lines. Likewise, syllables are usually marked by using a hyphen. And on the basis of the number of syllables, we can classify words into monosyllabic words, disyllabic words and polysyllabic words. Monosyllabic words, in monosyllabic words, there will be only one syllable. For example, the word, as I discussed, the word you. It has only one syllable, that is you. And in the case of the word teacher, in that word there is 2 syllables. Teacher, teacher. It is a disyllabic word. And the word which contain more than 2 syllables are known as polysyllabic words. So the word computer, as I said, there are 3 syllables in that word. Computer. So it is a polysyllabic word. And in the word university, there is 5 syllables. So that is also a polysyllabic word. So next thing is syllable structure. How to find the syllable structure of a word. So as I shown in this particular slide, in order to find out the syllable structure, we have to translate the word first. So here it is cat, and cat is translated like this in between slanted lines. The first sound is k, then a, then t. So 3 sounds are there, 3 phonemes are there. The next thing you have to do in order to find out the syllable structure, you have to differentiate the sounds, whether it is consonant sound or whether it is vowel sound. So in order to represent consonant sound, you have to use the letter C, and for vowel sound V. So here the syllable structure of the word cat is CVC. CVC, because first sound is k. K is a consonant sound, so it is C. And in the case of a, it is a vowel sound, so it is V. Again the sound t, that is a consonant sound, so you have to write it is C. So the syllable structure of the word cat is CVC. Next topic we are discussing is word stress. So what is stress? Stress means prominence, right? So in word stress, in words with more than one syllable, every syllable is not pronounced with the same prominence. The syllable upon which the prominence falls is said to be the stressed syllable. For example, in the word mother, the stress falls on the syllable ma. So mother. So the first syllable is stressed. So in the word mother, 2 syllables are there, ma and the. Okay, so stress falls on the first syllable, that is ma. So in order to find out the stress mark, in order to represent the stress mark, we use a vertical sign. That is, you have to place that vertical sign above the beginning of the syllable upon which the stress falls. So the syllable upon which stress falls is said to be the tonic syllable. Okay, so word stress, actually when in connected speech, all syllables are not pronounced alike. Some syllable got pronounced with certain prominence. So such kind of syllables are known as stressed syllables. Okay, so this stressed syllable, or the syllable upon which the stress falls, is also known as tonic syllable. And in a connected speech, mostly the content words are stressed and the functional words are unstressed. See, what is the difference between these content words and functional words? Content words are those words which have a clear meaning. And in the case of these functional words, mostly functional words are grammatical words. In connected speech, most of the functional words are unstressed. Though there are certain rules to determine the stress, it is rather a difficult task, and only an expert in the field can exactly bring out the correct stressed syllable. So here, what is stress? Stress is prominence. And in the case of word stress, actually stress falls on certain syllables, and that syllable only got stress, and it is known as stressed syllable or tonic syllable. Okay, so next we are moving to the next topic, that is strong forms and weak forms of words. Actually, words in English have got a strong form and weak form. Stressed content words have a strong form. But most of the functional words in English have a strong form in isolation and when they are stressed, and a weak form in connected speech when they are unstressed. So, content words have strong forms, but functional words, if the functional words are used in isolation, you can use strong form, and on all other cases in connected speech, you have to use the weak forms. See, for example, here I am showing the strong form and weak form of the word, functional word is. Actually, the strong form, see the difference in between the strong form and weak form, and the strong form, the pronunciation. So the strong form of is actually represented in between these slanted lines. The first sound is E and the second sound is Z. So is. And the weak form, what is the weak form of is? It is Z. See, that is the difference. So, strong forms we often use in connected speech, we often use strong forms as well as weak forms. Okay, my dear students, next topic we are discussing is pitch and intonation. So, what do you mean by this pitch and intonation? I had already told you English is a musical language, and the variation in the modulation depends upon how a vocal cord vibrates. Actually, the rate at which a vocal cord vibrates or the frequency of vibration is known as pitch. Pitch is actually a suprasegmental feature. So, what is pitch? The variation in the modulation or variation in the vibration of vocal cords, that is known as pitch. And the rise and fall in pitch or utterance bound pitch, it is referred as intonation. So what is intonation? The rise and fall in pitch or the variation in pitch is known as intonation. So what is pitch? Pitch is the frequency of the vibration of our vocal cords. So the frequency of vibration of our vocal cords is known as pitch, and the variation in the pitch of the voice is known as intonation. Please don't get confused. And if the voice moves from lower to higher pitch within a single syllable, that is known as rising intonation. So I repeat, if the voice moves from lower to higher pitch within a single syllable, it is known as rising intonation. And usually a rising intonation is represented by using a slanted line, and that slanting is upwards. Okay, and if the voice moves from higher to lower position or higher to lower pitch within a single syllable, and it is known as falling intonation. So if it moves from lower position to higher position, it is known as rising intonation, and if it moves from higher position to lower position, it is known as falling intonation. Rising intonation is actually used in yes or no questions. Is this your coat? It is an yes or no question. For example, is this your coat? In such case, we are using rising intonation. Okay, and in the case of falling intonation, the plain sentences, that means statements or WH questions or question tags, in all these different situations, we are using falling intonation. So, WH questions, statements, question tags, all these carry falling intonation. For example, why did she go to Pune? Then another example is, they played cricket on Saturdays. It is a plain sentence. They played cricket on Saturdays. So it is a statement. So in statements we are using falling intonation, and in WH questions, why did she go to Pune? So that is also an example of a WH question, and it also carries a falling intonation. Now, let's check some of the common misconceptions in Indian English and deviations from RP. Okay, so RP, I hope you remember RP, received pronunciation. So now, let's check what are the common misconceptions in Indian English and deviation from RP. So as I told you earlier, there is mother tongue interference for second language learners. Since for Indians, English is a second language, we all have mother tongue interference. See, for example, some of us used to substitute a instead of a sound, as in apple. So instead of pronouncing the word apple, we used to pronounce it as apple. Okay, see, that is a wrong thing. Another instance is substitution of s instead of z, as in zoo. So the real pronunciation is zoo. But second language learners or especially Indian English. In Indian English, Indians used to pronounce it as zoo. So actual pronunciation is zoo. And another instance is substitution of the sound v instead of w. For example, the real pronunciation of the word which has spelling water. The real pronunciation is water. But Indians used to pronounce it as water. Right? See, that is also another instance. And another instance is substitution of the sound the and th. For example, the word with spelling THAT, the actual spelling is that, but we used to pronounce it as, or Indians used to pronounce it as that. Another instance is wrong use of diphthongs. Diphthongs, as I mentioned you earlier, diphthongs are vowel glides. It is the combination of two vowel sounds. And wrong use of diphthongs is also common among Indian English speakers. Then another important thing is pronunciation of R unnecessarily in the word mother. Instead of pronouncing it as mother, we used to pronounce it as mother. So these are the common misconceptions found in Indian English. And this pronunciation of Indian English has there is some certain deviation from that of RP. So mother tongue interference and unphonemic nature of English language has resulted several mistakes and misconceptions in pronunciation. So my dear students, with this I am concluding today. See you in the next class with another topic. Have a nice time. Don't forget to send the assignments. Thank you.